The one true cult on this earth, the cult of flying spaghetti monster. Would you like to join my cult?
We'd like to hear about it.
The third annual Pastafarian Spring Preach and Rebuke Tour.
Have you heard of the Pastafarian cult before? Do you know the flying spaghetti monster at all?
I have heard of it before, but I don't know what.
So I'm a Pastafarian preacher. Been preaching in the name of flying spaghetti monster for about 3 years now, helping people.
Pastafarian.
That's right, helping people learn about the truth and eschew the mythology that they might believe. The mythology that caused that man to walk into a mosque and murder 50 of our brothers. Unfortunately, in the name of love, often violence is done. But we who worship a God of love know that He can never ask for a violent act like this. And so we've been trying to ask people to eschew their ancient blood gods and get the gods off the money and stop worshipping these ancient blood traditions and instead worship truth and love and reality. And
so values.
Yes, and instead of mythology. That our values are that we should base our morality on shared values like the love for our children and for the kindness that we feel towards each other, and not base them on the mythologies such as the earth is 6,000 years old and God has promised this land for my people only. That these religious ideas come to us, or these racist and immoral ideas can come to us through religion, and we ought to be responsible for the religion we believe, or we'll be in danger of committing immorality in the name of...
So who is the flying spaghetti monster?
He is the creator of this reality.
Do you believe that?
I believe that that's as reasonable a thing to say as anything. That any belief that we have about the creator of this reality is as equally wrong as...
So this is ironic, the name?
Some people use it to be ironic. Yes, some people use it to be sarcastic. A lot of atheists have joined our ranks and are trying to communicate things to the believing neighbors that perhaps we shouldn't base morality on something that I believe in my heart, but instead something that we can all agree on, and that legislating things from a religious text is probably not the best way to get a fair system. But yeah, some people are sarcastic and ironic about it, but I obviously have fallen too far into it and I'm taking it much too seriously. And I've been posting videos to YouTube for a number of years, and they're on there for your perusal at your leisure. What's your name?
I'm Ram.
Ram? Good to meet you.
I'm Dub. So
Dub?
the flying spaghetti monster
Yes.
is more so just a personification of your viewed morality.
The flying spaghetti monster is that which I don't quite understand yet. So I maybe could believe in the evidence that points to a Big Bang and think that that is what began it, but maybe there is a part of my mind that wonders what caused the Big Bang. And if I am to add anything to that, there's lots of danger of misperceiving that thing. So I put something in that I know I won't misperceive, the flying spaghetti monster, something that I know I'm in control of, and that anything that I'm wrong about I can change just like that. And so that way I'm not worried that someone can slip ideas into there that are contrary to something that I'm trying to find. If I am trying to find the truth in reality, nobody can add to that some sort of mythology that I should go to war for the ancient gods of war and blood that were worshipped in the Middle East, because my God is so unique from that, I won't be led down that same dangerous path. Yeah. And Dub and Ram, thank you very. Yeah. Thank you for stopping. I hope to see you online.
No, cheers.
The one true cult on this earth, the cult of flying spaghetti monster. Would you like to join my cult? The one true cult. The first Pastafarian cult of YouTube. Please do join today.
Any evidential reasonings behind that belief, as opposed to other people would say, for example, I don't know, perhaps with, I assume when you say old text, you meant something like biblical text or something like that.
Or Quranic, or the Book of Mormon, or any of these dangerous things. Yeah.
And dangerous, but what about if they were written by eyewitnesses?
Well,
what about if there is a historical reliability towards it?
What do you mean by historical reliability?
For example, in terms of the books of antiquity, in terms of what, not necessarily what was written down was truth, but what was written down as what actually happened, or it's rather accurate. Is the term. For example, Homer's Iliad, we have about 300 copies of that, written over 500 time span. Obviously, no one actually believes that what happened in the Homer's Iliad, but we believe that what was actually first written in the edition is because of these manuscripts that we have. Whereas the New Testament, we have over 32,000 manuscript accounts within the space of 80 years. So therefore, there are still people who were
Well, which
alive.
80 years? Which 80 years were they?
Which 80 years?
Yeah, the first...
From AD 30 to 110.
No, the first book in the New Testament was written what year?
The first book was written in AD 62.
Right. So 30 years after the events.
Right. Yes, in terms of books of antiquity, in comparison to 500 years of Homer's Iliad, or other books that we could have from antiquity.
So
that's
perhaps these books were like Homer's Iliad. Perhaps they were fictional, or were meant to be taken as sort of metaphorical, and perhaps we have taken them to be a little bit too literal.
Sure, we could think that. However, there were people that were still alive. So therefore, there were eyewitness accounts.
But none of the eyewitnesses wrote any of the books.
But they did. That's the whole point of what an apostle means.
Yeah, and which apostles wrote which books?
So within the Gospels, you've got two.
Who wrote the Gospel of Mark?
You've got two. John Mark.
Who?
John Mark.
No, we don't know who wrote the Gospel of Mark.
Well, it's pretty understood that it is within scholarship that John Mark did.
No, but in Christian scholarship. But the rest of us believe it was something written in Turkey 30 years later by someone who didn't write their name on it. And tradition calls it Mark's book.
Right, okay.
Right. And so, much like the accounts of Socrates, because Socrates only comes through us through student Aristotle, so we can't really be sure that Socrates ever lived. And so maybe he's fictional, yes?
No, I don't think.
You think Socrates is real?
I do think Socrates is real, yes.
But he never wrote anything down.
But I would also have to disagree with you about John Mark, because within John Mark there is 3 accounts at least of eyewitness understanding that's written in Aramaic.
Okay, did you read the Harry Potter books at all?
Yeah.
Are there eyewitness accounts on the Harry Potter books?
Well, obviously not. It's understood.
Right.
So why would that be any?
Perhaps those books were understood to be fiction at the time. Do you agree that perhaps those books were understood to be fiction? I think that the evidence you're looking for should come through a different tack. I don't think we can worry too much about the evidence unless we're talking about perhaps a book of Genesis and the mythological things that are taught in there. For example, the age of the earth, or the global flood, or the Tower of Babel, or things like this. Things that are obviously mythological or metaphorical. But I think that the answer can come through a study of the consistency of the books, and that if the Gospels contradict each other, then how can they be written about true events? Do you agree?
But there are different eyewitness accounts.
Yeah, but if they disagree enough, then they must be talking about untrue events. For example, Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man disagree about very important events. And so we can devise or divine from that these are sort of mythological stories, metaphorical stories, that though there might be Peter Parkers in New York City right now, the idea of Spider-Man is something that we are imagining. And so, if there are major contradictions in the Gospel, do you agree that they would disprove the Gospels?
Well, I think there aren't major discrepancies.
There are very major discrepancies, yes.
Not with regards to doctrine. For example,
it doesn't matter doctrine. If there's
of course it does, because we also know about Josephus, right?
Like
the Jewish historian.
When did he write? When did he write it? When did he write?
He had no credible understanding as to why he would.
Do you know the history of Josephus? Do you know how he betrayed all of his army? Do you know what Josephus did to the Jews? Do you understand that there was a massacre and only one walked out of it, and his name was Josephus?
Right.
And he lived a wonderful, charmed life for the rest of his days in Rome. Are you trusting Josephus?
Well, I would, because he's the only credible historian that we've got from the time.
He wasn't a historian, he was a fictional writer. He wrote the fiction that would get him off the hook for the murder of all his countrymen.
Right.
Also,
That's
the mentions.
isn't it?
But how did Judas die? How did Judas die?
We don't quite understand, do we?
Right, because it's contradicted.
Committed suicide in some way.
Yeah, but one person says hanged himself, another person says fell headlong and burst his guts open. Those sound like different things.
Again, but what's that got to do with?
Those are. Okay, but does it have to be a doctrinal thing, or can it be a sort of story contradiction? Why must the contradiction be doctrinal?
Because no one bases their life purely upon what happened to Josephus.
Here is a contradiction in the doctrine.
Okay.
Jesus, the so-called Christ, said that he never lied, right? So if we can find him lying, we can see that he lied, correct? So we can call him imperfect if we ever see him lie, correct?
But in which case did he say that he would never lie? And
Correct? Am I correct? If we find a lie of Jesus Christ, we can discount his
what
evidence.
lie do you think it is?
Am I correct? If we see him lying,
Well,
we can prove.
There's some sort of trap that you
No.
need to say what you're going to say.
No. You need to commit to this before I give you any evidence. You need to understand that this evidence is worth giving. If you don't want the evidence, I won't give it to you. Is a lie of Christ worth finding?
Well, surely, if
he lied.
if we're pursuing truth,
So if he lied, his whole thing is over, right?
Right, okay.
Right. So do you want to go through and find his lies, or do you just want me to tell you where they are?
Sure.
John 18:20, he lied.
Right.
Do you have your book?
No, I've got my phone, but it's not connected to the internet.
He said to the high priest asked him, what is your doctrine? What have you been teaching these people? And Jesus, the so-called Christ, says, why do you ask me this? I've only taught in synagogues and temples. Everything I have taught in public, and I have said nothing in secret. And yet the night before he instituted the Last Supper in a secret meeting in the upper room with 12 of his handpicked disciples. And that meeting was secret at the time of his trial, the time that he claimed he taught nothing in secret. Do you see the lie? Do you see it?
Do you think that's a lie?
It's untrue. Is any untruth a lie?
Of course.
Is any untruth a lie?
Your understanding of a lie, I think, is quite skewed.
Please do define lie for me. Define how your God defines lie, because my God says anything less than truth is a lie. How does your God define lie? Are you allowed to lie to the devil? Is it moral to lie to the devil?
Is it moral to lie to the devil? I would say yes, because he's the root of all evil.
Your understanding of morality is flawed. It is immoral to lie to the devil. Every lie is immoral. Do you understand? Do you understand what I'm telling you? Your morality is flawed, and I can help you fix it. You're an immoral person. You know the man that walked into the mosque and committed murder? Do you know the man who walked into the mosque?
No, I do not.
His morality was flawed by his false god. You worship the same blood god as him. You are in danger of the same. Would you kill me if your God told you to?
No, absolutely not.
If your God appeared right now and said, the tribulation has begun, start the harvest, start with him, would you obey?
No, because
would Abraham obey? When God told Abraham to...
Because that's completely...
so you deny the if. Okay, accept the if and tell me. If he told you to, would you?
No, I wouldn't, because I know that wouldn't be from him.
Cool. You're not Christian. You're Pastafarian. I would tell my God no. Christians must obey. If you love me, keep my commandments. If he tells you to kill me, you must.
Yeah, but that's
that feeling that you have. I quoted the Bible to you just now.
Yeah, and you skewed it by adding on if you told me to kill you, which you would never do.
He did in the book of Revelation. He did. In the book of Revelation, he said, you will kill me. He said, I have come, not for peace, but a sword. How do you justify your all rightness? How do you determine if you're all right?
Sorry?
How did you said you were all right? Did I hear you correctly?
Yeah, I just mean I don't want like any information.
Oh,
I'm just going to meet someone. So.
Oh, okay. I thought you were. Jesus lied.
Was it right here?
You worship a false god. It's time to grow up. It's time to worship reality.